Despite its many qualities, you should not grow buddleia in your garden. This is because buddleia, aka the butterfly bush, has deep and penetrative roots that can easily damage your property and in fact your neighbour's property. From blocking drains to cracking open chimneys, this is a plant you don't want in your garden because it can cost you a lot of money in damage repair. So it's best you learn how to kill this plant as quickly as possible. But more on that in a minute. In this TCM video, you'll learn 1. How buddleia can damage your property. 2. How to avoid breaking the law. 3. How buddleia spreads and how not to help it spread. 4. How to prune your buddleia, and 5. How to get rid of the blooming thing. So what damage does buddleia cause? If you're still not convinced buddleia is bad to have on your property, you need look no further than the damage it can cause buildings and other structures. For example, buddleia can damage your home by weakening and exploiting guttering, cavity walls, brickwork, patios, and the very foundations of your house. I could go on, but I think you get the picture. Essentially, buddleia grows wherever it wants to in a small gap or where softened mortar appears. On a wider scale, buddleia wreaks havoc on our railway lines and waterways, causing delays in travel and flooding. But it smells so good, it reminds me of childhood summer times, and the smell brings back warm memories of my family. Yes, you're right, buddleia smells gorgeous, it's easy to grow for beginners, and it looks pretty nice. But does that really weigh out the destruction it can cause? Interestingly, and despite popular belief, buddleia isn't that good for wildlife on the whole. Instead of increasing biodiversity in an area, it tends to reduce it. This is because it grows strong and large and overshadows other vegetation in the area, which other critters and insects need to survive. But don't take my word for it. Wildlife advocates butterflyconservation.org have this to say. Although buddleia is a valuable resource for pollinators, care should be taken to stop it from self-seeding and spreading beyond the garden, where it can outcompete native plants nearby. This has put some wildlife, including butterflies, at risk. And because buddleia's feather-like seeds spread in the wind, it can be harder to control than the infamous Japanese knotweed. So, is buddleia as invasive as Japanese knotweed, and is it legal to have in your garden? Is it illegal to plant buddleia? No, it's not illegal to plant or have buddleia growing in your garden in the UK. Unlike Japanese knotweed, it's not listed in Schedule 9 of the Wildlife and Countryside Act of 1981, so it's unlikely you'll get in trouble with the law for having it in your garden. However, the butterfly bush is considered a non-native species by most UK authorities, and according to non-nativespecies.org, is estimated to have cost the UK economy close to £1 million in property damage. Unfortunately, many environmental experts believe buddleia might become the next Japanese knotweed, seeing bans on its sale in garden centres and nurseries and laws put in place to protect home and property owners, as well as wildlife in the UK. So, how does buddleia spread? Buddleia spreads when the wind picks up its seeds and takes it to new places. And as the butterfly bush can produce upwards of 3 million seeds per year, you can see why it easily spreads. Essentially, buddleia grabs any and every opportunity to start a new plant, be that church, chimney, or French patio door. Simply put, buddleia spreads to make baby buddleia wherever the wind carries it, and can also be carried by people, pets, birds, and infamously trains. If you're in a train station near to the summertime, take a look for buddleia because I imagine you'll find it. When and how to prune buddleia in the UK. To prevent unwanted spread, you should prune buddleia in the summertime, usually around June or July, once it has flowered seed heads. Buddleia seed heads are the blue or purple buds that look a little bit like cones. You can prune buddleia by cutting off its seed heads, which you'll want to do as soon as it's flowered for maximum effect. Once cut, you should leave the seed heads to dry out completely, as this will reduce their ability to spread further. Afterwards, check with your local council to see how best to dispose of your dead butterfly bush, because throwing it over the fence is an absolute no-no unless you want another outbreak. But stop right there, because before you get out the shears, it's really important that you understand that pruning buddleia will only limit its ability to spread and won't actually kill it in your garden. To remove the risk of property damage completely, you'll want to apply herbicides to the butterfly bush or dig it out completely and remove it from your property. Here's how to do that. How to get rid of buddleia. You can get rid of buddleia by treating it with weed killer or excavating it from your property, i.e. digging it out and taking it to landfill. If your buddleia is on the smaller side, you can probably get away with applying weed killer to stunt its growth and control it. However, larger infestations and even some smaller stubborn infestations might be best if you excavate it completely from your property, so digging it out and taking it to landfill, which should hopefully reduce the ability for it to damage your property completely. So how do you go about removing buddleia from your garden? Well, depending on how patient, green-thumbed and strong you are, you can grab a shovel and get started right away. However, if you don't like getting hot and bothered and would prefer to have total reassurance that the buddleia has in fact been removed from your property, we suggest hiring professionals to get rid of it, especially if you value peace over price, not that hiring people to remove your buddleia will cost the earth. Want your butterfly bush gone for good? Call us now on the number below. Bye for now.